Hi there, Merry Christmas everyone, and welcome back to another movie review. And of course, I will be talking now today the third movie review that I'm doing, and that's going to be Still Down, which is my second favorite Patrick Swayze movie. And yeah, I love this movie to death. This is my second favorite Patrick Swayze movie. I mean, rest in peace, Patrick Swayze. And Still Down is underrated epic cult classic form, which is mixed is a post-apocalyptic science fiction western movie, and it's a badass form, and I just really do love this movie. I mean, Patrick Swayze is really missed by me. Rest in peace, Patrick Swayze. This is actually his my second favorite film, and this movie he did right after the release of Dirty Dancing, which I also do have in the Blu-ray. But yeah, this was the release on Dirty Dancing. After Dirty Dancing, and I'm surprised that his wife, Lisa Nemi, appeared in this movie because the movie has been actually filmed in now Club Park, actually that Willie Namibia, Naukluft Park, Namibia, which is in South Africa, and I'm surprised that his wife traveled with Patrick that time doing this movie. Directed by Lance Hull. Lance Hull directed Missing in Action 2, The Beginning, which later became the prequel to Missing in Action films, and he directed this film right after right after that film. Right after Chuck Norris Missing in Action 2, The Beginning, he went and directed this movie, Still Down. And yeah, this is the German's Blu-ray. Yes, I got this from Germany. Only Germany holds the rights for the Blu-ray or Still Down, which I don't know why. But I was lucky that I did got this film on Blu-ray. And I mean, it's an 80s cult classic film, in my opinion. Definitely my favorite Patrick Swayze film. Definitely my 100 favorite action films. It's not top 10. But yeah, but Roadhouse is. I love Roadhouse more than this film. Love Roadhouse to death. But I love Still Down, definitely my top 3 favorite Patrick Swayze movies are Roadhouse, this movie, Still Down, and Black Dog, which I think the last two are very underrated. I think that Still Down, Black Dog are very underrated. And written has been by Doug Leffler. Yeah, by the way, this is the back. Written was by Doug Leffler. This is the only movie he wrote the screenplay. And it's just kind of different, it's different than most. It was shot with a camera which is all widescreen. There's no black bars, it's a widescreen screen, while this movie, Roadhouse and Black Dog are with 2 black bars. This is the widescreen, the only one, and I think this also Dirty Dancing widescreen. But it's been a real honor that I saw this movie, as a kid on TV. I think it was the third Patrick Swayze film I saw. The first 2 were actually Next of Kin, then Roadhouse, then this film. But this was the only time I saw. I got this movie back in 2016. Which I'm really flattered. It was really hard to get this film and Black Dog on Blu-ray, because Black Dog came only in USA and Canada on Blu-ray. Lucky it's free. I wish Caps from Christmas Later would have been region free, but it's only region A in Canada and the US, so I can't get that movie because it's not gonna work on my Blu-ray disc because I'm region B. I wish we could got free, but yeah, but those 2 movies I really hard got it. I only have 5 Patrick Swayze movies, and that's Roadhouse, this movie Still Down, Black Dog, Point Break, and of course Dirty Dancing. I don't have all his movies, but I'm glad I do have this movie in my collection, Still Down. Maybe Sunday I'm gonna try to get Uncommon Valor. I don't know yet. But still down. I love to death this movie. It's about it's a reference to Mad Max 1 and the Road Warrior, or more Mad Max 2, the Road Warrior, which was the music composed by Brian May, who composed both the films for Mad Max. And I think the score is actually wonderful. And of course, the movie stars Patrick Swayze, Lisa Nemi, Anthony Zierbeck, Christopher Nemi, John Fujioka, Brad Hull, and Brad Morris, and of course Brad Morris, and of course Brian James, if I forgot to mention him. The movie talks about it's now after World War III. This is actually more the future. It's a wasteland. It's reference to Mad Max 1 and 2 wasteland. So it's a wasteland. And Nomad, played by Patrick Swayze, he's a US soldier who's actually fast and quick with a sword, with a samurai sword. And a group of sand creatures attacks in the sand, attacks Nomad. And Nomad grabs his sword and he goes and cuts one of the guys' arm because he was trying to robbing him his food and supply, and we see that he's quick and fast with a sword, he's a quick and fast with a sword, with a samurai sword. So Nomad is now drifting through is actually traveling through the desert, the wasteland. And then he goes to this cabin, and we see John Fujioka, also rest in peace. John Fujioka plays Court, who becomes a peacemaker. Rest in peace, he becomes a peacemaker. People from what is the town called already? I wrote it somewhere down. Meridian. People from Meridian hire him to help them out by becoming a peacemaker. He was actually the master of Nomad. He was his master, and while they're in common, Patrick Swayze he's been poisoned, and 4 attackers attacks Court, and then we see Christopher Nemi, who plays Shaw. He's a mercenary, he's a hired mercenary, and he's also another soldier, another quick expert in sword fights, in a sword fight. So he goes, so he goes to fight off Court, but of course, Shaw wins, by stabbing him with a knee, because he has a knife, he has a knife on a knee, and he goes and stabs him with a knee, and of course Court dies. Then of course when Nomad wakes up, he goes and burns his mentor and friend, he burns him, then he goes travel, and he came across this farm led by Patrick's wife, Lisa Nemi. She plays Kesha, and she's on a farm, and Nomad asks her if he can get a water, because in the wasteland there's no water, and just like in Mad Max 2, the Road Warrior, it was the fight. It was a huge fight in Australia. It was a huge fight for the gasoline. In this movie, it's actually a huge fight for the water, because the water supply is missing and people are dying from thirst. Are dying from supplying and food and water because they don't have water. They are dying. So the most important source became the supply of water, and Cash advises him, tells him there's no need to pay. She invites him, and of course Nomad is working while in the city. Of course Dan Mill is actually an angry mob boss, who is stealing the supplies and the water, while the other farmers are actually the other farmers are actually poor, and that's why it was Kesha who hired a peacemaker to help them out against the angry mob, and we figured out and find out that that actually Daniel was the one who hired Shaw to kill Court, John Fujioka, by stabbing him, so preventing him to be a peacemaker. Nomad usually doesn't want to fight, but when Brian James, who plays Tark, he's protecting Kesha and her son Jax. We found out that her son that Kesha's husband has been killed during World War III, and of course Nomad knew him. He was his commander. Also Nomad was commander too. And they were both killed. So I mean, of course, Kesha's husband has been killed. That time during the war. So now, by the way, that's Kesha. Nomad. That's Nomad, and that's Shaw. I love the duel battle fights. And because the guy, he's been attacked. So because Tarek has been attacked by Daniel's goons, Patrick goes, helps him out and kicks ass. He goes and kicks everyone ass. And because Tarek and Kasha, I think was Kasha, they tried to find out who this mysterious man is, and he was a soldier, and they keep an eye on him, during the night. A group of looters try to steal his stuff, he goes and kicks once again ass, while Kasha is telling him about water supply, and they're making all the pumps, but Daniel is making the life miserable. So now it's only one man, Nomad, who stands against their way, so they hired and pay once again Shaw, in which he goes and he challenges Nomad, but because Nomad has no sword, he gives they fight sticks. This is actually a bow, a Japanese, not just only Japanese swords, but there's also Japanese martial arts, used in this movie, also with the sticks, with the sticks. And of course, Shaw wins the first fight, but goes and kills Stark. I think was goes and kills Tark. He kills him, and kidnaps Jax, son of Kasha, while Nomad says that he's going after them. Kasha, she goes and shows him where she hides his weapons. When he goes inside, she locks the door, she closes them by protecting him. She runs to Daniel and asks her that he lets the son, her son, go, but the guy does not want to hear about it, so the guy doesn't want to hear about it. Meantime, we see a dog, just like in The Road Warrior, Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, we see a dog, and of course Patrick kicks the door down, and he goes, now he goes back to Daniel's farm, which he was previously, because they stole that pump, that pump, the whole pump, he stole from Daniel's farm. He goes to Daniel's farm, and of course Kasha tries to get her son back. She threats Daniel that she's gonna cut his neck. Almost she cuts him, but then of course then Nomad shows up, while the kid runs away. Jax runs away, and two henchmen are following him, and of course Nomad shows up, and the other one, was Brad Morris. He uses he uses nunchakos and the dogs goes after him. And the other one was Arnold Woslo, I came to right away. So now Patrick goes after Arnold Woslo. What is his name? He goes after Arnold Woslo. Marker. Arnold Woslo. He goes after Arnold Woslo's Carter Marker, and he goes with kind of weird with this kind of weird vehicle that they used. It actually was kind of weird vehicle that they used, but he goes and stabs the guy, and Patrick says, "I told you not to play with the sharp objects," Then he goes to save Kasha and goes in a fight, in a Japanese martial arts sword fight against Sho, that scene against Sho, that scene, he goes against him, against Sho, and there's a great sword fight, a great Japanese sword fight, in my opinion, very great performed, and of course Nomad on the end kills him, he stabs him and kills him, and of course the other guy attacks Nomad. He kicks his ass. The other guys are chicken. They run away. So now it's only Daniel who is threatened with a knife, Kasha around her neck. And Patrick goes down, grabs the knife, and throws him and kills him. Right in the neck, we see bloody right in the neck. He gets a knife, which you see bloody, which is a badass, And now Patrick saves Kasha, and now the bad guys are gone, and Kasha and her son Jax are saved, They're now gonna build a city, a town, Meridian. And Patrick now he goes with his dog, he goes on the wasteland because it's his home. He said in the open movie to quote that wasteland is his home. So he leaves while we see a beautiful picture, beautiful camera showing Kasha and Jax watching how Nomad is disappearing, with his dog. And the ending, I just really love that, it was just beautiful. Patrick Swayze, in my opinion, did a great job. His best performance. Probably my second favorite. No, it is my second favorite movie that he did. His best performance. Lisa Nami's best performance as Kasha. And of course, I think was a son or probably grandson from the director Lance Hull, who played Brett Hull. Jax did a great job. Brett Hull. Brad Morris appears in this movie as one of the bad guys because this movie was actually filmed in Namibia. It was actually filmed in that town, South Africa, in our country, in South Africa. So it was filmed there. The budget for this movie was $3 million, which is a low budget, but only earned $562,000. It was a box office flop, but it's completely different. I don't think this movie is a copycat of Mad Max 1 and 2, but I do think it very similar to Conan the Barbarian. It kinda is similar, because the costumes that they use in this movie are kind of similar to Conan the Barbarian, in my opinion, but Brad Morris, he was also in American Kickboxer 1, which I like the film. I don't get it why it got such a bad rating, but it was also filmed there. Brad Morris is the guy who runs with the nunchakos. I'm glad his character was not killed off. By the way, he was a bad guy, played Jaguar Denard in American Kickboxer 1, but in actually Brad Morris is a nice guy. At least that's what I read, that he isn't a bad guy, Also, Arnold Woslo's his first early role, he was in Hard Target. He was also in The Mummy 1 and in The Mummy Returns. he was in all those movies, but my only problem is that Arnold Vosloo's voice is dubbed. Yes, that's not Arnold Vosloo's voice, because I watched Hard Target over 100 times and I remember his voice. That's not his voice, it was dubbed. I don't know why. Maybe because he couldn't, because he did not properly speak English, but yes, his voice is dubbed because I can hear it. And also, the same was with Arnold Schwarzenegger when he did that god-awful piece of shit movie, Hercules in New York. His voice has been dubbed because Schwarzenegger did not know how to speak English, and maybe that was Arnold Vosloo's voice dubbed, because I watched him in Hard Target 100 times and I remember his voice. That wasn't his voice, it was completely different voice, That's my only problem that I do have with the film. This is uncut. On Wikipedia it's written 1 hour 30 minutes, but actually it's 1 hour 40 minutes or 1 hour 41 minutes, which is uncut, which all the scenes are not cut. It's uncut, so it's great for Still Down. I only saw once as a kid this film, but then it was never on TV anymore. Yeah. Lisa Nemi did a great job. I mean, Brian James, a star, rest in peace, he also did a great job. I think the rest of the cast did a great job, and this was right after, this movie was right after Dirty Dancing. The sword fights are great choreographed. They're actual Japanese sword fights, and of course for 1 hour 40 minutes I see Patrick Swayze kicking ass, and also Patrick Swayze has long hair, he and a beard. He actually went and he these sword fights are excellent choreographed. They're great. They were excellent choreographed. It was more on a western. And also Patrick Swayze did grow his beard and his long hair, his ponytail, in this movie. Of course he cut then and shaved later, but for the character he had to grow, so there was no wig, no plastic, no nothing. That was all for real. The sword fights were well choreographed. That time there weren't any CGI, so it was all practical done, all for real. Movie was filmed on low budget, it wasn't that big movie, but I think the Land School did a great job directing this film. I think he later did only 2 movies that I didn't care for. The other one was with Tom Berenger in 1996, and the other one I don't remember that he did. But Missing in Action 2 and Still Down are definitely my favorite films that he did, but this is actually my favorite movie he directed, Yes, my favorite movie he directed. Patrick Swayze kicks ass. Yes, still kicks ass. It's different. It's misunderstood. It's not like you wanted to see. So yeah, that's my movie review on Still Down. Rest in peace, Patrick Swayze. He passed away in 14 September 2009 with pancreatic cancer, which is really sad. I do really miss the actor. I'm a huge fan of him. And I'm a big fan of Roadhouse, and I'm also a fan of Still Down and Black Dog. Those are my top 3 favorite Patrick Swayze movies. Maybe number 4, Uncommon Valor. Not such a big fan because Patrick has only small role in that film, but in those 3 movies he's the main star, and I'm glad that he decided to do this movie with Roadhouse. Then later he did Next of Kin. Just Patrick wasn't that great in Next of Kin like he was in Roadhouse. In Roadhouse he was a badass, But this movie, Patrick still kicks ass, still uses his martial arts, he still kicks ass. And like I said, it's a post-apocalyptic science fiction movie, which is a reference to Wasteland, but to Mad Max 1 and 2, The Road Warrior, with Brian May, the composer, did a great job for the music score, He didn't know how to do post-apocalyptic scenes, Resident Evil 3 Extinction actually ripped off mostly from this film and from Mad Max to The Road Warrior. They completely everything ripped off, you know. But this movie is such a badass film, you know. But yeah, that's my movie review on Still Down. Thanks for watching. Merry Christmas, everyone. And I'll talk to you later. I'm out. Ciao.